Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive, and this one's all about the subconscious mind. We're going to be checking out a YouTube video from the Conscious Mind channel, and this one really got me thinking, have you ever felt like something is kind of like secretly driving your choices, even when you think you're the one in total control?
Yeah, it's a little unsettling, isn't it? It's like there's this whole world operating behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But that's your subconscious at work.
Right. Like, why am I suddenly, drawn to a certain type of person? Or why does that one little habit someone has just, drive me absolutely crazy?
Those are great examples. And, it's really interesting is that understanding your subconscious isn't about, some mystical or woo-woo stuff. It's about getting real insight into why we do the things we do.
I love that. Okay, so let's dive into this YouTube video. It starts by talking about Carl Jung's perspective on the subconscious. Now, Jung, he saw the subconscious as this active force, not just a storage unit for old memories.
Yeah, and he really disagreed with Freud on this point. His mentor, Freud, was all about repressed trauma, but Jung saw the subconscious as something much bigger. He believed it was a source of creativity, intuition, and even our potential for growth.
It's almost like our subconscious is the secret superpower we don't even know how to use.
Exactly. And Jung called the process of integrating our conscious and unconscious selves. He called it individuation. It's about becoming a whole integrated person.
So if I'm trying to understand my dreams or I'm working through a pattern that keeps repeating in my life, that's actually me moving towards individuation.
You got it. It's about acknowledging and integrating all the parts of yourself, even the ones you might not like or understand. And that can be a really powerful journey.
I can imagine. Okay, so how do we actually tap into this subconscious power? The video mentioned that it's not always easy. Our subconscious communicates in whispers through symbols, dreams, those sudden aha moments.
Yeah, pay attention to those aha moments. They're like these little flashes of insight from your subconscious trying to get your attention. And another big clue is those recurring patterns. We all experience those recurring patterns in our lives.
You're right. I have this pattern where I self-sabotage. Right before I achieve something big, it's like I get scared and I back away.
It's almost as if a part of you isn't quite ready for that success. Right? There's a fear there that needs to be addressed. That's a classic example of your subconscious trying to tell you something important.
Wow. Okay. So if we keep seeing the same patterns play out, that's a sign we need to do some deeper digging.
Absolutely. And Jung had some really interesting ideas about these patterns. He introduced the concept of archetypes. And you can think about those universal symbols that pop up in myths and stories, like the hero, the villain, the wise old man.
Like the mentor figure you see in so many movies, the one who guides the hero on their journey.
Exactly. Jung believed these archetypes aren't just, story stuff. They actually represent deep-seated universal human experiences and desires.
So these archetypes are like blueprints for human behavior that we all share.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And they can influence our perceptions, our relationships, even who we're attracted to or repelled by.
Wait, so you're telling me my taste in romantic partners could be influenced by some ancient archetype?
It's definitely possible. Think about what qualities you consistently find attractive in a partner. Do they embody a certain archetype? It's fascinating to consider, isn't it?
That is mind-blowing. And this leads us to another fascinating concept from Jung, the collective unconscious. The video described it as this vast network of shared human experience, fears, and desires that we all tap into.
It's as if we're all connected on a deeper level. And this collective unconscious is where we inherit those primal fears and desires. Think about the fear of the unknown or the longing for connection. Those aren't just personal quirks. They're part of the human experience.
So even though we might feel alone in our struggles, we're actually all connected by these shared primal experiences.
Exactly. You're not alone. And that can be incredibly comforting when you're facing a challenge.
That is really comforting to think about. So how do we actually start to engage with this hidden world of the subconscious? The video mentions some techniques like active imagination. What is that exactly?
Active imagination is all about consciously engaging with the images and symbols that come up from your subconscious.
Like if I have a recurring dream, I could try to actively imagine myself in that dream and see where it...
Exactly. Don't try to analyze it logically. Just let your imagination flow. It's a way of giving your subconscious a voice and letting it speak freely.
That sounds really interesting. The video also talked about shadow work. That one sounds a bit intimidating.
Yeah, it can be challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Shadow work is all about facing those parts of ourselves that we tend to hide or deny, the negative traits, painful memories, things we'd rather not acknowledge.
I think we all have those parts of ourselves that we try to keep hidden. It's not always easy to look at those darker aspects.
It's not easy, but it's essential for growth. Jung believed that our shadow actually holds a lot of power and potential, but we need to integrate it into our conscious awareness to fully benefit.
So if we're trying to do this shadow work, how do we even start to identify those hidden parts of ourselves? It's like, how do you find something you're trying to keep hidden?
Yeah, it is a bit of a paradox, isn't it? But there are clues. Think about those recurring patterns we were talking about earlier. Those can be a big sign that your shadow is trying to get your attention.
Okay, so like my self-sabotage pattern. That could be my shadow holding me back.
It's definitely worth exploring. Another clue is to pay attention to your strong emotional reactions, especially those that seem kind of out of proportion to the situation.
You mean like when I totally overreact to something small?
Exactly. Those intense reactions might be a sign that something deeper is being triggered. And here's another interesting thing. The qualities we judge or criticize in others can often reflect aspects of our own shadow.
So the things that really annoy me about other people could actually be things I dislike about myself.
It's a possibility. In fact, the source material even emphasized that the people who irritate us the most often embody aspects of ourselves that we've disowned or rejected.
Wow, that's a tough pill to swallow, but it makes sense. It's like we're projecting our own shadow onto others.
Right. And by recognizing those projections, we can actually begin to reclaim those shadow aspects and integrate them into our conscious personality.
So instead of judging others, we can try to see those judgments as an opportunity to understand ourselves better.
Exactly. It's about turning those judgments inward and asking, what is it about this quality that triggers? What part of myself am I uncomfortable with?
That's a real shift in perspective. So shadow work isn't about beating ourselves up for having these negative qualities. It's about accepting them as part of who we are.
You got it. The goal is to become a whole, integrated individual, and that includes embracing our shadow.
It's like we're trying to assemble a puzzle, and we can't leave out any pieces, even the ones that don't seem to fit.
That's a great analogy. And when we try to force those pieces away, they just keep popping up in different ways. Better to acknowledge them, understand them, and find a way to integrate them into the bigger picture.
So how do we actually start to do this integration work? The video also mentioned techniques like journaling and dream analysis.
Yeah, journaling can be a great tool for exploring your inner world. It's like creating a dialogue with your subconscious. Just write down your thoughts, your feelings, even those strong emotional reactions we were talking about.
It's a way to make those unconscious patterns more conscious.
Exactly. And dream analysis can also provide valuable insight. Jung believed that dreams are full of symbolic messages from the subconscious.
I've always been fascinated by dreams, but I've never been very good at interpreting them.
Yeah. The key is to pay attention to recurring themes, images, and emotions. Don't get too hung up on finding a literal interpretation. Instead, ask yourself, what feeling does this dream evoke in? What might it be trying to tell me?
So it's more about the emotional message of the dream than the specific symbol.
That's a good way to think about it. And if you find yourself having recurring dreams, those are definitely worth exploring. Your subconscious is trying to get your attention.
The video also mentioned meditation as a way to access the subconscious.
Yeah, meditation is a really powerful practice for quieting the mind and cultivating inner awareness. When we slow down our thoughts and focus on the present moment, we create space for our subconscious to emerge.
So it's not just about relaxation, it's about creating a space for inner listening.
Precisely. It's like tuning into a radio station that's always broadcasting. But we're usually too distracted to hear it. Meditation helps us turn down the volume on the external noise and tune into the subtle whispers of our subconscious.
All of these techniques sound incredibly helpful, but I imagine it takes time and effort to master them.
Absolutely. Unlocking the subconscious is not a quick fix. It's an ongoing journey of self-discovery and integration.
It's not like flipping a switch. It's more like tending a garden, patiently nurturing those seeds of self-awareness and watching them grow.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And the rewards are definitely worth the effort. By becoming conscious of our subconscious, we gain a level of freedom and authenticity that was previously unimaginable.
It's like we're breaking free from those invisible chains that have been holding us back.
Exactly. We reclaim our power and step into our true potential. But there's still more to explore. In part 3, we'll discuss the importance of taking action and aligning our behaviors with our newfound awareness.
Because knowing ourselves better is great, but it's what we do with that knowledge that really matters, right?
You nailed it. Join us in part 3 as we delve into the transformative power of conscious action and the steps we can take to create lasting change in our lives.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the subconscious. We've been exploring Carl Jung's ideas. And I'm starting to realize how much power we really have to shape our own inner world. But how do we actually put all this knowledge into action? It's like knowing ourselves better is great, but then
Yeah, that's the key question. Awareness is important, but it's only the first step. To really unlock our potential and live more authentically, we need to align our actions with our newfound understanding.
So it's not enough to just think about our subconscious patterns. You have to actually do something about them.
Exactly. It's like having a treasure map but never going on the adventure to find the buried treasure. And the fascinating thing is that our subconscious minds are incredibly adaptable. We can actually reprogram those deeply ingrained patterns that might be holding us back.
Wait, so you're saying we can rewire our own brains? That sounds almost too good to be true.
It might sound that way, but it's backed by neuroscience. Our brains are constantly changing and adapting based on our experiences, and we can consciously take advantage of this by engaging in practices that create new neural pathways.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? The video we're discussing mentioned using affirmations, but I've tried those before, and they always felt a little cheesy and forced, like I was trying to convince myself of something I didn't really believe.
I hear you on that. The key to using affirmations effective is to make them believable to your subconscious. So instead of saying something like, I am a millionaire, when you're struggling financially, try something more grounded, like, I am open to new opportunities for abundance.
So it's about finding affirmations that resonate with where you are right now, but also point you in the direction you want to go.
Exactly. It's about meeting yourself where you are and gradually shifting those subconscious patterns. And another powerful technique is visualization.
Oh yeah, the video talked about that too. Something about how the subconscious doesn't really know the difference between real and imagined experiences.
That's right. Think about how vividly you can recall a dream. Even though it wasn't real, our brains react to those imagined experiences as if they were happening in the present moment.
So if I consistently visualize myself acting in ways that align with my goals and values, I'm actually strengthening those neural pathways?
Precisely. And the key is to engage all your senses in those visualizations. See yourself in the situation, hear the sounds, feel the sensation, even smell the scents. Make it as real as possible for your subconscious mind.
That makes sense. The video also touched on the importance of symbolism and ritual for reprogramming the subconscious. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, rituals have been used for centuries in various cultures to mark transitions, reinforce belief, and connect with something larger than ourselves. Think about weddings, graduations, religious ceremonies. They all involve symbolic acts that create a sense of meaning and transformation.
So we can tap into that same power by creating personal rituals that support the changes we want to make in our own lives.
Exactly. For example, writing down limiting beliefs and then physically burning them can be a really powerful symbolic act of releasing those old patterns. Or you could create a morning ritual that involves affirmations, visualizations, and setting positive intentions for the day.
It's like creating a ceremony for yourself, marking the transition to a new way of being.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, consistency is key with any of these techniques. Reprogramming the subconscious takes time and effort. It's not about making a few changes and expecting instant results.
It's like working out a muscle. You have to do it consistently over time to see real change.
That's a great analogy. We need to be patient with ourselves and trust the process. And remember, discomfort is often a sign of growth. Those challenging emotions might indicate that you're actually pushing against old patterns and creating space for something new to emerge.
So those uncomfortable feelings aren't necessarily a bad thing. They might actually be a sign that I'm on the right track.
Exactly. Embrace the discomfort as part of the journey. It means you're stretching yourself and growing. And one of the most important takeaways from this whole deep dive is that the barriers we perceive as unbreakable are often just deeply ingrained illusion. We have more power than we realize to shape our subconscious mind and create the reality we desire.
That's so inspiring. It means that no matter where we've been or what challenges we've faced, we always have the potential to change, to grow, and to live more authentically.
That's the beauty of this journey. It's about self-discovery, empowerment, and ultimately liberation.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the power of the subconscious mind, and I'm excited to start putting these techniques into practice.
It's been a pleasure diving into this with you. Remember, the journey has just begun. Keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep unlocking the limitless potential within.
And to all of you listening out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as insightful and empowering as we did. Until next time, keep exploring those hidden depths.